The stars had always called to humanity. For 800 years they answered that call. They built ships, crossed the darkness between worlds, and made new homes on distant planets. By the year 2847, humans lived on 17 worlds across 3-star systems. They were not powerful. They were not feared. In the Great Galactic Assembly, where 4,000 species gathered to trade and talk, humanity was barely noticed. The noticed them. They were hunters. They stood 8 feet tall, covered in green scales that could turn invisible in forests. Their eyes saw heat, their claws could cut through metal, and their teeth dripped venom that caused pain beyond imagination. For 10,000 years they had hunted every species they encountered. Their museums displayed the skulls of 100 different aliens. Hunting was not just their culture, it was their religion. When a human trading ship accidentally crossed into space, the High Council saw an opportunity. They examined the humans carefully. Small bodies, no claws, no fangs, thin skin that tore easily, slow runners, weak muscles. The scientists laughed at their findings. These creatures were perfect prey. The High Predator, leader of all, signed the decree himself. Humans were now classified as legal game. Any could hunt them. Their pelts would make fine trophies. Commander was eating breakfast when the first distress signal arrived. She was a small woman, 43 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and calm eyes that had seen too much death. She commanded the defense vessel Persistence, an old ship assigned to protect the mining colony on 442B. The signal came from the colony's eastern settlement. The message was broken, full of static and screaming, heard only fragments. "They're hunting us. Invisible. Please help. The children." Then silence. Moved fast. She sent emergency warnings to every settlement on the planet. She called for military backup from the nearest human fleet, and she ordered Sergeant to take a reconnaissance team to the eastern settlement. Was young, only 26, but he had grown up on a border world where danger was constant. He knew how to move quietly, how to track enemies, how to survive. He took 4 soldiers with him and flew toward the settlement in a small shuttle. What they found broke something inside them. The settlement was empty. No, not empty. There were bodies, human bodies arranged like trophies. Men, women, children. Some had been skinned. Others were mounted on poles. They had photographed themselves with their kills, huge reptilian faces grinning beside human corpses. His hands shook as he recorded everything. Private, the youngest member of his team, fell to her knees and vomited. She was 19 years old. She had never seen death like this. "Sergeant," whispered Corporal Menu, pointing at the forest edge. "Movement." Looked through his scanner, he saw them. 6 hunters, their scales shifting to match the trees around them. They were watching the humans, waiting. They carried plasma rifles and long knives designed for skinning. They were still hunting. Should have retreated. His orders were to observe and report, nothing more. His team was outnumbered and the smart choice was obvious. But looked at the bodies behind him. He looked at a small shoe lying in the dirt, covered in blood. He thought about his own little sister back on Earth, how she was the same age as some of these children. Something old woke up inside him, something that had lived in human blood for 200,000 years. His ancestors had survived ice ages. They had hunted mammoths with wooden spears. They had tracked prey across entire continents, never stopping, never giving up, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Humans were not fast. Humans were not strong, but humans never ever stopped. "New orders," said quietly. "We're not leaving, we're hunting." Wiped her mouth and stood up. Her eyes were red from crying, but her jaw was set hard. "How? They're bigger, faster, and they can turn invisible." "They're ambush predators," replied. "They attack fast and hard, then rest. They need to rest, we don't." He pointed at the forest. "Those hunters think they're the predators here. They'll make camp tonight, they'll sleep, they'll eat. They'll relax because they think we're just scared prey." He loaded his rifle. "We're going to teach them different." That night, the first hunting party died. They never saw the humans coming. His team moved through the darkness like ghosts, guided by thermal imaging that saw through camouflage. They attacked at 3 in the morning when the hunters were deep in sleep. It was not a battle, it was an execution. The second hunting party died 2 days later. The third lasted 4 days before tracked them to their hidden camp. She had followed them for 96 hours without sleep, eating while walking, drinking from streams, never stopping. When the finally collapsed from exhaustion, she was still moving. The commanders on the orbiting ship grew confused. They sent more hunters. Those hunters vanished too. They sent larger groups. The groups were found dead, their own weapons used against them. Messages began arriving at the confused, frightened messages from hunters who had never known fear before. "The humans are not running," one message said. "They are following us. They never stop following us. We cannot sleep. We cannot rest. They are always there, just behind us, waiting. What are these creatures?" On 442b stood over the body of the last hunter on the planet. His team had grown. Survivors from the settlements had joined him. Men and women who had lost everything, who wanted revenge, who discovered that the hunting instinct lived inside them too. Looked up at the stars toward the... "You wanted to hunt us," he whispered. "Now you will learn what that means." The first hunt had ended. They had won battles before. They had claimed trophies before. But they had never faced anything like humanity. They had awakened something ancient and terrible. And humanity was just getting started. Admiral stood before the United Human Council. The chamber was silent. 300 representatives from every human world watched her with tired, angry eyes. They had all seen the images from 442b. They had all seen what they did to their people. Was 60 years old. She had served in the human fleet for 40 years. She had seen pirates, border conflicts, and small wars, but nothing had prepared her for this. Nothing had prepared anyone for this. "They have declared us prey," she said. Her voice was calm and cold like deep space. "They hunted our people for sport. They skinned our children and mounted their bodies as trophies. They laughed while they did it." She pressed a button. Images appeared on every screen in the chamber. The council members looked away. Some of them cried. "I am here to propose something new," continued. "I call it the doctrine of retribution." She explained her idea. It was simple, it was extreme, it was terrifying. Any species that hunted humans would be hunted in return. Not for territory, not for resources, not for justice, for extinction. "This is madness," said Representative Bora from the colony world of New Sol. "You are talking about genocide. We are not monsters." "No, we are not," agreed. "But consider this. There are 4,000 species in this galaxy. Many of them are predators. If they succeed in hunting us, if they face no consequences, others will follow. We will become prey for the entire galaxy." She leaned forward. "The only way to survive is to make hunting humans the most dangerous choice any species can make. We must become so terrifying that no one ever tries again." "But extinction," another representative asked, "is that not too extreme?" Shook her head. "Our ancestors faced this same choice on Earth. When wolves attacked human villages, humans did not just defend themselves. They hunted wolves almost to extinction. When tigers killed farmers, humans hunted tigers to near extinction. Our survival instinct does not believe in proportional response. It believes in eliminating threats forever." The debate lasted for 7 hours. Some called a monster, others called her a savior. In the end, the council voted. The doctrine of retribution passed with 847 votes in favor and only 12 against. Far away on 442b, the ground war continued. Sargent had become something more than a soldier. Survivors called him the first hunter. His team had grown to over 200 fighters, all of them burning with the same cold fire. They did not defend anymore. They attacked. Private had become famous among them. She was small, barely 5 feet tall, with a soft face that made her look younger than her 19 years. But she could track for days without rest. She could move through forests without making a sound. They had started calling her the Ghost. One hunting party tried to escape her for 19 days. 19 days of running, hiding, and praying to their gods for safety. Followed them through mountains, across rivers, and into caves. She ate whatever she could find. She slept in 2-hour shifts. She never lost their trail. On the 19th day, they collapsed. Their bodies simply gave up. Their hearts were too exhausted to beat. Found them lying in a clearing, still alive but unable to move. "Please," one of them whispered, "what are you?" Knelt beside him. "I am human," she said simply, "and you made a terrible mistake." The hunters had never experienced anything like this. They were ambush predators. They attacked fast, killed quickly, and rested. They were not built for long chases. Humans were different. Humans could run for hours, days, weeks. Their bodies sweated to stay cool while overheated. Their hearts could beat steadily for distances that would kill other species. 2 million years ago, on the plains of Africa, early humans had hunted this way. They did not catch animals by being faster. They caught them by never stopping. They jogged after prey under the hot sun until the animal collapsed from heat exhaustion. This was called persistence hunting. They were learning what it meant to be hunted by persistence predators. But the war was not just on the ground. In space, human ships gathered. Admiral assembled the largest fleet in human history. 40 warships, 200 support vessels, and 10,000 soldiers ready to fight. Captain commanded the battleship Iron Will. He was a quiet man, 35 years old, with steady hands and cold eyes. His wife and daughter had been on 442B when the hunting started. They were in the Eastern Settlement. He had watched the recording of their deaths. He had watched hunters pose with their bodies. He had not cried. He had not screamed. He had simply walked to his quarters, packed his uniform, and reported for duty. His crew watched him carefully. They saw no emotion in his face. That scared them more than tears would have. "Sir," his first officer asked once, "are you all right?" Looked at her. "I will be all right when every hunter is dead," he said. "Until then, I have work to do." The fleet moved toward space. Word spread through the galaxy. Other species watched with curiosity. Though a warrior race who had considered hunting humans themselves stopped their plans and observed. An empire that expanded through conquest grew quiet and thoughtful. In the Galactic Assembly, representatives whispered to each other. What were the humans doing? Surely they would negotiate. Surely they would accept payment for their dead. That was how civilized species behaved. But the human ambassador said nothing. She simply watched the representative with eyes that held no mercy. Admiral sent one final message to the High Predator before the attack began. "You declared us prey. You hunted our children for sport. You believed we were weak because we have no claws, no fangs, no venom. You were wrong. We are the most dangerous predators our world ever produced. Every creature that hunted humans on Earth is now extinct or nearly extinct. You will learn why." The message ended with 3 words that would echo through galactic history. "We are coming." They laughed at the message. Their fleet outnumbered humanity's 3-1. Their warriors were stronger and faster. Their weapons were more advanced. They did not understand yet. They thought this would be a war. It was not going to be a war. It was going to be an extinction. The human fleet arrived at on a cold morning. 14 billion lived on that planet. Their civilization was 8,000 years old. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war. Admiral opened communications. The High Predator appeared on screen. He was massive, 10 feet tall, covered in golden scales that marked him as royalty. His teeth were long and sharp. His eyes burned with confidence. "You come to surrender?" he asked, laughing. "Smart choice, prey." Did not smile. I come to offer you terms, unconditional surrender. Every involved in hunting humans will face trial. Your military will be destroyed. Your people will be disarmed forever. The High Predator's laugh echoed through the communication channel. Look at your fleet, little human. Look at ours. We have 3 times your numbers. Our ships are bigger, stronger, faster. Your species will make excellent slaves after we defeat you. You do not understand, said quietly. We are not here to defeat you. We are here to end you. She closed the channel. The Battle of Prime began at noon. They expected a glorious fight. They expected the humans to charge at them, to fight with honor, to die bravely. That was how predator species fought. Humans did not fight like predators. Humans fought like survivors. The first human ships did not attack the fleet. They attacked the satellites around the planet. Communication satellites, navigation satellites, defense platforms. Within 2 hours, there was blind and deaf. The second wave targeted supply ships, fuel transports, food carriers, ammunition haulers. The human ships moved fast, hit hard, and disappeared before they could respond. Captain led the third wave. His battleship Iron Will carried weapons that did not kill quickly. They killed slowly. Biological agents designed for blood, computer viruses that infected their systems, radiation bombs that poisoned their water. Sir, his first officer said nervously, these weapons are against galactic law. Looked at her. They declared us prey. Prey has no laws. Prey has only survival. He pressed the launch button. Fire. The fleet fought back hard. They destroyed human ships. They killed human soldiers. In the first week of battle, 3,000 humans died. But humanity did not stop. They could not stop. The same instinct that drove their ancestors to chase mammoths until the great beasts collapsed from exhaustion now drove their fleet to fight until nothing remained. They began to tire. Their ships needed fuel that was no longer coming. Their soldiers needed food that had been destroyed. Their commanders needed communications that no longer worked. They were ambush predators trying to fight a marathon. They were not built for this. By the end of the first month, the fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. The other half were scattered, trying to escape, trying to find safety. There was no safety. Human ships followed them, across star systems, through asteroid fields, into the darkest corners of space. Wherever they ran, humans followed. They never stopped following. Admiral gave one order to every captain in her fleet: no survivors, no surrender, no mercy. Although the civilian population watched their sky burn, they saw their fleet die. They saw human ships begin their descent toward the planet's surface. The High Predator sent a message too. His voice was different now. The confidence was gone. We surrender. We will pay any price. Please stop. His reply was short. You declared us prey. Prey does not negotiate with predators. Prey survives by making sure the predator never hunts again. The bombardment began. Captain commanded the orbital strike fleet. His ships rained fire on cities. Military bases burned first, then factories, then power plants. The sky turned orange with flames. Watched through he felt nothing. He remembered his wife's smile. He remembered his daughter's laugh. He remembered the images of their bodies displayed like trophies by grinning hunters. Target the next city, he ordered. Sir, that city has mostly civilians. The civilians cheered when their hunters brought human trophies home. They displayed our people in their museums. They taught their children that humans were prey. His voice was flat and empty. Target the city. The bombardment lasted 3 months. Human ground forces landed and fought survivors in the ruins of their civilization. It was not a war anymore. It was an extermination. Sergeant, now promoted to major, led ground operations in the southern continent. Private, now lieutenant, tracked leaders who tried to hide in mountains and caves. She found every single one. The Galactic Assembly sent messages demanding humanity stop. They threatened sanctions, isolation, war. Humanity ignored them. "Let them threaten," Admiral said. "Let them watch. Let every species in this galaxy see what happens when you hunt humans." By the end of the first year, the civilization was destroyed. 14 billion had become less than 1 billion. Their cities were ruins. Their technology was ash. Their culture existed only in human archives, preserved so future generations could remember what happens to species that hunt humans. The surviving were scattered across distant colonies, broken and terrified. They were no longer predators. They were survivors, just like their prey had been. The high predator was captured alive. Humans put him on trial, broadcast across the entire galaxy. He sat in a small cage, his scales dull and his eyes empty. "You hunted us," the human judge said. "You killed our children for sport. You thought we were weak prey. What do you have to say?" The high predator looked at the camera. He knew billions of aliens were watching. He spoke slowly. "We were wrong. We were so terribly wrong. They are not prey. They have never been prey." His voice broke. "They are the most terrible hunters the galaxy has ever known. Do not hunt humans. Never hunt humans. They will never stop. They will follow you into darkness, into death, into extinction. They will never ever stop." He was executed the next day. The message spread across the galaxy. Every species heard it. Every species remembered it. But not every species believed it. 40 years later, another species would make the same mistake. They would learn the same lesson. Humanity was always ready to teach. 40 years passed. The children who had survived 442B grew old. The soldiers who had fought the retired to quiet lives. The galaxy slowly forgot the burning of the. New generations of aliens heard the stories but did not believe them. Surely they were exaggerated. Surely the humans had just been lucky. They must have been weak. No species could be as terrible as the stories claimed. They believed this more than anyone. There were insects. They stood 7 feet tall on 6 legs, with hard shells covering their bodies and mandibles that could crush stone. But their true strength was numbers. One queen could lay 10,000 eggs per day. Their hive worlds held billions upon billions of workers, soldiers, and drones. They had watched the war with interest. They studied human tactics. They analyzed human weaknesses. They decided they had simply been stupid. They had fought humans on human terms. They would be smarter. Queen, leader of the third hive, proposed a simple plan to her council. They would capture humans and study them. They would learn human biology, human psychology, human technology. Then they would know exactly how to defeat humanity. The research vessel Starlight carried 847 humans through deep space. They were scientists, engineers, doctors, and their families. They had no weapons. They were not soldiers. They were explorers seeking new stars. They intercepted them in empty space, far from any human world. 300 ships surrounded the small human vessel. There was no escape. Doctor was the ship's chief medical officer. She was 52 years old, a calm woman who had dedicated her life to healing. When they boarded her ship, she did not panic. She gathered the crew and passengers together and spoke quietly. "We all know the stories from 442B," she said. "We know what is coming, but we can send a message. We can warn our people." She worked quickly. While the soldiers marched through the ship, capturing humans one by one, encoded a transmission. The ship's communication officer, a young man named, sent it using an old emergency frequency that they did not know to block. The message was short, their coordinates in 3 words. "Remember the doctrine." They took last. They were curious about the human who had remained so calm. They brought her to their science vessel, where their researchers waited with sharp tools and scanning equipment. "You are not afraid," the lead scientist observed. Its translator made its clicking voice sound almost respectful. Smiled, it was not a happy smile. "I am very afraid, but I also know what is coming for you. Your fleet, your soldiers, the scientist made a sound like laughter. We have billions, your species has only millions. Numbers win wars. They had numbers too, said. They had strength and speed and weapons. They had everything except understanding. Understanding of what? Looked at the scientist with sad eyes. Of what humans become when you hunt us. You should have studied that instead of our biology. She said nothing more. They dissected her alive over the next 6 hours, recording everything, learning nothing that would save them. Admiral received message 3 days later. He was 45 years old, the grandson of a 442B survivor. His grandmother had told him stories before she died. Stories about the Eastern Settlement. Stories about sergeant and lieutenant. Stories about what humans were capable of when pushed too far. Read the message once. He closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them and began giving orders. The human response was faster than anyone expected. 12 fleets mobilized within a week. Scientists who had been studying peaceful research projects turned their minds to war. Biologists began designing diseases that would spread through hive networks. Engineers built weapons that could kill billions. Lieutenant commanded the ground forces. She was young, only 28, but she had trained her entire life for this moment. Her family had served in the military for 5 generations, ever since the war. They understood what duty meant. Our mission is extinction, she told her soldiers before the first assault. They have billions. We will kill them all, not because we hate them, not because we enjoy killing, but because if we do not, they will hunt humans again. Other species will hunt humans again, our children, and will be prey. She looked at their faces. They were scared. They should be scared. The only way to protect our future is to destroy their future completely. Every queen, every hive, every egg. We stop when nothing remains. Do you understand? They understood. The first hive world fell in 6 days. Human ships did not try to conquer it. They sterilized it. Biological weapons designed specifically for physiology spread through the tunnels like fire. Queens watched their workers die by the millions. They watched their eggs rot before hatching. They watched their entire world collapse around them. The second hive world fell in 4 days. The third in 3. Human scientists improved their weapons with each attack, making them faster, more efficient, more terrible. Admiral did not enjoy the destruction. He took no pleasure in watching worlds die, but he remembered message. He remembered that she had sent those 3 words while knowing she was about to be dissected alive. Remember the doctrine. He remembered. Lieutenant led her soldiers through tunnels on the 4th hive world. The fighting was brutal. Soldiers were strong and fast, and they fought with the desperation of creatures who finally understood what was happening to their species. But soldiers did not stop. They pushed forward through waves of enemies. When one soldier fell, another took their place. When their weapons ran out of power, they used knives. When their knives broke, they used their hands. They were hunting, and humans never stopped hunting. Found the queen chamber after 8 days of fighting. The queen was ancient and massive, her body filling an entire room. Around her lay millions of eggs, the future of her hive. Please, the queen begged. Her voice was translated through earpiece. Spare my children, they have done nothing wrong, they are innocent. Thought about the 847 humans on the starlight. She thought about the families, the children, the scientists who only wanted to explore the stars. She thought about Doctor, dissected alive while trying to warn her people. The humans on that research ship were innocent too, said. You did not spare them. She gave the order. Her soldiers set fire to the queen chamber. The screaming lasted for hours. The war took 3 years. When it ended, the great hive species had been reduced from trillions to thousands. Their queens were dead. Their worlds were ash. Their survivors scattered across the galaxy, hiding in shadows, never gathering in groups larger than 100. They had learned what they learned. They had learned what the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans were not prey. Humans had never been prey, and hunting them was the last mistake any species would ever make. The year was 3000. 153 years had passed since the first hunter killed the first human on 442b. The galaxy had changed in that time. Empires had risen and fallen. Species had discovered new technologies and new philosophies, but one thing remained constant. No one hunted humans anymore. The Galactic Assembly gathered for its 10,000th session. Representatives from 3,000 species filled the Great Chamber. They came from every corner of the galaxy, speaking thousands of languages, following thousands of cultures. But they all knew the same stories. Ambassador represented humanity. She was small by galactic standards, barely 5 feet tall, with gray hair and wrinkled skin that showed her 70 years of life. She had no claws, no fangs, no armor. She looked fragile, like a leaf that might blow away in a strong wind. She was the most feared being in the room. The session's topic was simple, a formal declaration regarding the treatment of human beings. Species after species rose to speak. First came the remnant. Their representative was young, born long after the war, but his scales still carried the dull color of a broken people. "We were hunters once," he said, his voice empty of pride. "We thought humans were prey. We were wrong. Listen to our warning. Do not repeat our mistake." Then came the survivors. Their speaker was small for his species, his shell cracked and worn. "We had billions. We thought numbers would protect us. We were wrong. The humans did not conquer us. They erased us, learned from our death." The representative spoke next. His species was known for their warrior culture and their love of combat. "We considered hunting humans once," he admitted. "We studied the war and decided against it. That decision saved our species. If you are considering hunting humans, stop. Whatever you might gain is not worth what you will lose." More species spoke. The who had abandoned their expansion into human territory. The who had signed peace treaties after watching the burn. The who taught their children about humans the way parents teach children about fire, useful from a distance, deadly up close. Finally rose to speak. The chamber fell silent. Even the translation system seemed to hush. Walked slowly to the podium. She placed a small data crystal on the surface. Its light flickered in the darkness of the great hall. "This crystal contains the complete history of every species that hunted humans," she said. Her voice was soft, but somehow it carried to every corner of the room. The 7 other species, smaller, that tried and failed over the centuries. The crystal takes 847 hours to review fully. 1 hour for every human who died on the research vessel Starlight. She paused. Humanity did not want this. We did not travel to the stars looking for enemies. We came seeking friends, seeking knowledge, seeking wonder. We wanted to learn about the galaxy and share what we knew. We were peaceful. Her eyes hardened. But we learned something important. Peaceful does not mean weak. Kind does not mean helpless. The galaxy is full of predators who see gentleness as an invitation to attack. Species who look at soft skin and small bodies and think they see prey. She touched the data crystal. They were wrong, they were all wrong. On our Earth, we had a saying. Humans are the most dangerous animal. Our ancestors had no claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor. But every creature that hunted us is now extinct or nearly extinct. The great cats that stalked our villages, the wolves that attacked our children, the bears that invaded our camps, all gone or reduced to small populations that survive only because we allow them to. Looked across the assembled species. Some looked away, others could not meet her gaze. Do you know why? Because we never stopped. Other predators hunt when they are hungry and rest when they are full. Humans hunt until the threat is eliminated forever. Our ancestors chased prey across continents until the animals died from exhaustion. They tracked enemies through winters that killed other species. They survived ice ages and famines and plagues and wars that should have destroyed them. She pointed at the crystal. That survival instinct lives in us still. It will always live in us. When you threaten our children, you wake something ancient and terrible, something that does not understand mercy or proportional response, something that knows only one truth: eliminate the threat or die. The chamber was absolutely silent. So here is humanity's message to the galaxy: trade with us and prosper. We are good trading partners. We honor our agreements. We share our technology. We help our friends in times of need. Befriend us and find loyal allies. Humans are loyal beyond reason. We remember kindness for generations. We will stand beside our friends against any enemy. Attack us and face consequences. We will defend ourselves. We will fight back. We will make war costly enough that you will seek peace. Leaned forward, her soft voice dropped lower. But hunt us. Hunt our children for sport. Treat us as prey to be killed and displayed. She shook her head slowly. Then you will learn what the learned. You will learn that the soft, slow, clawless species was never prey. You will learn that we are patient beyond your understanding, relentless beyond your imagination, and ruthless beyond your nightmares. You will learn that we do not fight to win. We fight to end. We are humanity. We are the children of Earth, the planet that created the most successful predator in known history, and we will hunt you until there is nothing left to hunt. She picked up the crystal and held it high. This is our warning. This is our promise. This is the only truth that matters. Do not hunt humans. She sat down. For a long moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The weight of her words hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Then the voting began. Every species voted yes. The declaration passed unanimously. No species in the Galactic Assembly would ever classify humans as prey. No species would ever hunt human beings for sport. The penalty for violating this declaration was total war with humanity. The session ended in silence. Years later, young aliens would ask their elders about humans. They would want to know why such a small, soft, slow species was treated with such careful respect. The elders would tell them stories about the who thought humans were prey, about the who thought numbers would save them, about burning worlds and empty hives and species that existed now only in museum archives. And they would always end with the same warning. Humans are kind, they will help you, they will trade with you, they will be your friends, but never make them hunt you, because humans do not hunt like other species. They do not stop when they are tired. They do not stop when they are injured. They do not stop when they win. Humans hunt until there is nothing left. And by the time you understand this, it is already too late. The galaxy remembered. The galaxy believed. No species ever hunted humans again. And humanity continued among the stars, peaceful and kind and gentle, carrying within them the ancient fire of their ancestors. The fire that had burned across African plains 2 million years ago. The fire that had driven mammoths to extinction and wolves to the edge of oblivion. The fire that waited always for someone foolish enough to make them prey. The fire that never, ever went out.